that unit of enforcement. Honorable Speaker, I also ensure safety and protection of county properties and critical installations, amongst other duties.
You're aware that you're here pursuant to summons of the Senate?
Yes, I'm aware.
And you are aware that you're also here to respond to issues that were raised in regard to the abuse of office in the impeachment of the Deputy Governor?
Yes, I'm aware.
You're also aware that, have you had an opportunity to look at the issues that have been raised?
To some extent, Honorable Speaker, I have done.
Now, Mr. David, there are issues that were raised regarding the deployment of county enforcement officers on two issues. One, on the issue of the arrest of one Ruben Monda, the brother to the Deputy Governor, and also the issue of 4 enforcement officers who have been working or doing odd jobs at his home. Now, if we begin with the first issue, the issue of the 20 enforcement officers who have been deployed, can you address the Senate on that issue, kindly?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to state before the Senate that the issue of mobilization and deployment of the 20 enforcement officers came to my knowledge on 29th of February, 2024, when the motion on the impeachment of His Excellency the Deputy Governor of Kisii County was being led at the Assembly.
And did you take any step following your knowledge?
Honorable Speaker, after learning about that occurrence, I, being the officer in charge of that directorate, and learning that my office has been implicated in the proceedings at the Assembly, I thought it's good to do a statement to the Assembly to clarify and give more right or shed more light to that occurrence.
Following your statement to the County Assembly, did you also take any step to do any preliminary investigations?
Of course, I initiated investigation immediately. I did a letter to my deputy director, who is in charge of sub-counties, instructing him to provide information to my office what exactly transpired that day and why did he not communicate to my office early enough as pertaining to that incident.
Did you find out how and who deployed the said officers?
After following the report of my deputy director, who went to the ground because I instructed him to go to the ground, he came and he wrote a report to me. And he said that the officers were mobilized and commandeered by the sub-county administrator of Nyaribadi Chache and the sub-county enforcement officer.
Was that commandeering of your officers within the knowledge of your office or the office of your deputy?
No.
Was it legal or lawful?
The procedures requires that the office of the Director of Enforcement be informed of any occurrence. So there was no any communication to me, and therefore that is unlawful deployment.
Did you find out the motivation for the sub-county commander to commandeer the deployment?
Yeah, from the report of my deputy in charge of sub-counties, Honorable Speaker, the person who gave instructions to the sub-county administrator and the sub-county commander is His Excellency the Deputy Governor of Kisii County.
Is it your evidence or your statement the Deputy Governor directly commanded the commander to deploy the said officers?
It is.
Now, David, there was a clip that was played yesterday, the clip in regard to the arrest of Ruben Monda. If we could have it up kindly. Now, as we wait for that clip, David. Does the deputy governor have the right to command? Of course, he is the deputy governor of Kisii County. Do you think, or does he have the right to command the enforcement officers?
You know, in civil service, there are procedures and protocol to be followed in any operation, in an activity. His Excellency the Deputy Governor has got no mandate to direct and give instruction directly to the enforcement officers.
He has to follow the procedures.
He has to follow the procedures.
Now, do you have those correspondences or the communication that you sought clarification from your deputy and his response with you?
Yes, I have them.
Would you mind supplying them to the Senate for them to look at them?
I can, but I don't have enough copies.
All right, that will be the arrangements will be made. Now, kindly play the clip. That clip, Bwana David, was introduced yesterday by one Ruben Monda. Kindly pause there. We want to see the motor vehicle, the police vehicle. Now, there, thank you. In that vehicle, are you able to identify the person who is seated at the rear left side?
Yes, of course.
How are you able to identify him?
The person on the rear left side of the vehicle is wearing county enforcement uniform, the for county government of Kisii. And that is my officer by the name Alfred Monda. This is the deputy sub-county commander of Nyaribari Tache sub-county.
And now, this is during the arrest of of deputy governor's brother. Do those officers, or rather, did Keumbu have the capacity to have 20 officers around for purposes of being deployed to such an occasion?
Honorable Speaker, my records and my strength at Keumbu is 22 enforcement officers.
How many?
22 enforcement officers.
So there were officers to be commandeered?
Yeah.
And you do confirm that is one of your officers?
That is an enforcement officer, I confirm.
Now, we move on to the next issue, Bwana David, the issue of the 4 officers who are mentioned to have been working and doing odd jobs at his residence. What do you have to say about that, Bwana David?
The issue of the 4 enforcement officers working at the home, or the home of His Excellency the Deputy Governor, I'm aware of it, and it came to my attention much earlier, even before the motion before the Assembly. And I want to state that there is no any official document toward sanctioning that deployment in my office.
Is the deputy governor and governor entitled to any county officers to work under him?
There is no provision.
There is no provision for entitlement. But is he also entitled to his own personal staff who are paid by the county?
Yes.
Are those personal staff part of county enforcement officers?
No.
They are 2 separate people. They are those people who are employed by the county as personal staff who work under him?
Yes, Honorable Speaker.
Are those the people we are talking to before this?
We are talking about the 4 enforcement officers.
Who are separate to the county officer?
Who are separate the county,
to the personal staff?
The personal staff.
So is it legal for him also to deploy? And if it is, are they allowed to, is there a scope of work that they should be engaged in?
Enforcement officers have clear job descriptions, and their role is entirely the provision of security.
Right now, David, before I cede my few minutes to my colleague, Mr. Mutuma, I want to make reference to the county government document. Honorable members, the county government document at page 313, the bundle for county government volume 1, at page 313. That is a statement that you did the county assembly, Bwana David Hagai, correct?
Yes.
And you stated that it came to your knowledge during the impeachment.
Yes, I confirm.
I just want you to clear the air why it came to your knowledge during the impeachment.
Yeah, as usual, any other operations regarding or concerning enforcement officers, the officers need to report to my office, and we have a WhatsApp report, a WhatsApp wall, where all other occurrences are recorded into. But as pertaining to this incident of 20th December, I want to state that there was no information to my office, and that is not usual.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I also want to request that we play the video where there was the witness who left yesterday evening, Ruben Monda, was actually addressing the media. Kindly. The video where the witness, Ruben Monda, was addressing the media. Just the very few first seconds of that video. And this video is actually speaking in the Kisii language.
County ya Kisii, Daktari Robert Monda nigo enyorete ase ensanano enene na mumuro mwabo Ruben Monda igoro yogotwa kwemete ase nsemo ya kerera.
Kindly pause there. Kindly pause there. Now, I know we don't understand Kisii, and also members of the Senate do not also understand that language. But I also believe you understand that language.
I do.
What is your understanding of the statement that has been made by the reporter?
The reporter is talking about trees.
And
The conflict between him and his brother.
what else does he mention? Does he mention the issue of county officers?
And, can we replay it?
Can you replay it? Kindly replay the clip.
Omukonyi bw'omugabana w'ekaunti ya Kisii, Daktari Robert Monda nigo enyorete ase ensanano enene na mumuro mwabo Ruben Monda igoro yogotwa kwemete ase nsemo ya kerera.
Ikona nukote kurura ritoka mata abantu barunga ngomwa akumwaka muone lero na ndio kasumwa dura polisi ya na sumwaka ajuzi
ni gachitemu mwaye muroyo mwabo Ruben Monda kogenda kuna chimeta sense meyo ase agotebuna atabukirite abantu abange abasigari abayiga be serikali nabo igo abasigari be county bagocha kumusagana na kumira bageta seni yeyo taseni kya keumbu.
Kindly pause the clip. What is your understanding of that video, Bwana Director?
Honorable Speaker, I can see this first person here, and there's a reporter. The person at the revision is not talking about enforcement officers or county staff. The person who is talking about enforcement officers is the narrator of the story. Okay. That the complainant is complaining about his arrest using police officers and enforcement officers.
Now, thank you, Bwana David. This clip was interpreted yesterday, and I invite the House to also have a look at it independently. Now, I want to cede my few minutes to Mr. Mutuma to guide you through.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Just hold on, Council. What is your intervention, Senator Kathuri?
Honorable Speaker, because I'm participating in these matters and judge in this quasi-judicial court. Yesterday, we were privileged to get a very good interpreter who was neutral and he could interpret the language nicely. I am not aware why he is not available today, because I want to trust an independent interpreter and a professional who can give us the right message, so that also as we make our determination, I can be able to say this is what was spoken in Kisii language, Honorable Speaker.
Very well.
Mr. Speaker, sir, if I may, I think our worry was that...
Just pause,
Yes.
Council. Council, we would wish to be guided by an independent interpreter on the content of that video, not to the understanding of your witness.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Our worry was that the interpreter, the very specific one who came yesterday, misrepresented the version. So if we can have a different one, that would be most obliged, because we seem to be having two different versions of the same story.
I'm informed we had two interpreters yesterday. Can we have the second one to interpret this video for the honorable senators, please? And then your witness can put it in context. So, Council, let me just get you correctly. Are you saying that the interpreter who interpreted this video yesterday did not interpret it correctly?
Indeed, indeed, Mr. Speaker, sir.
According to who?
According to the people well versed with the Kisii language, that was the indication. But perhaps we can hear from another source if they will stick to the very version of the other interpreter.
Now, Council, allow the video to play, and then let us get the interpretation. Thereafter, you may take on your. But yes, Council for Deputy Governor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. We have an objection to that, Mr. Speaker, sir. And our objection is in the sense that we will be going in circles. You will recall, Mr. Speaker, sir, that the interpreter did an interpretation initially. Objections were raised by members of the Senate saying that interpretation was not correct. The interpreter was then given a second chance to interpret, and the whole process went to the end. The honorable members who had raised an objection and who understood Kisii did not raise an objection, neither did the councils for the county assembly. Now, to ask for the third time of interpretation will not be designed to get the proper interpretation, but designed to get the interpretation that the county assembly councils want. It is not intended to know the exact position, but rather the position that they would rather. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, sir, we contend on our part that the interpretation has been adequately supplied, and there is no point in wasting time and spending time in hunting out for the type of interpretation that the county councils want.
Very well. Our counsel for the county assembly. There was an interpreter who did the interpretation yesterday. Is that correct?
Indeed, Mr. Speaker, sir.
And therefore, as the team from the county assembly, you were adequately covered in terms of the interpretation that was done yesterday.
Mr. Speaker, sir, none of the council is versed with the Kisii language. So at the moment, it was not brought to our attention that the interpretation was not correct. Thereafter, that information came to our knowledge. It's only fair that we give another interpreter an opportunity to do that. I do not see, Mr. Speaker, sir, any prejudice that will be suffered by the team representing the deputy governor.
Counsel for the county assembly.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
We cannot have several versions of the interpretation. An interpreter is an interpreter. If this video was given its true interpretation yesterday, the matter rests.
Most obliged, Mr. Speaker, sir, but then I will also urge you, once you retreat to consider this matter in camera, you can have your own consideration based on senators who are well versed with the language. I stand guided.
Good. So then just proceed with your witness. We do not have to hear another version
Thank you.
of Kisii language. Kisii language is one. Honorable Nyoka, Kisii language is one. Or do we have several versions of Kisii language?
Mr. Speaker, Kisii language is one. The interpretation that was given made me understand I didn't see any contradiction.
Very well.
And I wasn't misguided. Thank you.
Proceed with your witness.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Hagai, do you have any personal interest? I'm not sure whether I can be heard, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Only power the council's microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Hagai, I still feel it's quite low. Mr. Speaker, sir, Mr. Witness, do you have any personal or ulterior interest in these proceedings?
No.
You do not. Have you been coerced, influenced, or persuaded to take a certain stand towards the deployment of the officers that you are alleging were deployed on 20th of December?
Not at all.
You have not. When did you receive the summons from Senate?
I received the summons yesterday.
What mode?
They were served to me
How were you served?
by the server of the court. He called me.
All right. And when did you travel from Kisii to Nairobi?
I traveled tonight.
Thank you. You have told the senators that the information about the deployment of the 20 officers came to your knowledge on 29th of February 2024. The event itself...
Sorry, Council.
Yes.
There's an initial question that you have not understood too clearly. Can you repeat about the traveling? Traveling from where I'm staying or from Kisii?
To Senate. From wherever you are to the Senate.
I traveled today morning.
Today morning.
From where I reside.
Thank you. You have indicated that the information about the deployment of the 20 officers to the deputy governor's home to arrest his brother came to your knowledge on 29th of February 2024. Correct?
Yes.
The event itself took place on 20th of December 2023.
Yes.
2 months apart.
Correct.
Now, as the head of this department, how is it that 20 officers would be deployed, taken from your department to a private assignment without your knowledge? Doesn't that mean that you are ineptitude, that you are not in charge of this department?
No, not at all. You see, this is an occurrence which is happening at the home of the deputy governor. And I'm learning it at the assembly when the motion is being tabled. And that is the first time I'm hearing about it. And as I said earlier, this is unusual because all operations of enforcement need to be reported to my office. And that's why I tasked my deputy to investigate this incident and report to me. And in the report the deputy gave me, he said, the reason why the sub-county administrator and the sub-county commander did not report is not very clear. And we have initiated disciplinary procedures against those officers.
So is it an issue of lack of diligence or competence from your part, or there was deliberate effort to conceal that occurrence?
I believe there could be deliberate effort to block us from getting the information.
Thank you. You have also indicated that you've conducted preliminary investigations and there is a preliminary report to that effect.
Yes.
Are you able to tell the Honorable House the names of the 4 officers that you're claiming are assigned at the Deputy Governor's office doing odd jobs? What are their names?
I can confirm that the 4 officers are there, and these officers work in a regular basis. After 2 weeks, they are being replaced, and they are deployed from.
Are you able to tell us the names of those officers?
Yes.
Kindly, go ahead.
All of them?
The 4 officers.
I have said the sub-county has 22 enforcement officers. And the duty roster is being done after a period of 2 or 1 or 2 weeks. So they keep on rotating.
So are you able to tell the names or you're not able to?
For now, I can't because the investigation is ongoing.
And the 20 officers, are you able to identify, apart from the commander?
Yes.
Are you able to identify the 20?
Yes, yes.
Are you able to supply the names?
Yes.
Are you able to supply the names now?
Then now, because they're not typed.
They're not typed, but you have their names.
I have the names.
Thank you. That's all for this witness, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Counsel for the Deputy Governor, your witness.
Mr. Speaker, sir, a preliminary issue, we've not been served with this report that is being referred to by this witness. If we can get a copy.
Counsel for the County Assembly, can you make available the copy of the report you're referring to?
With your guidance, Mr. Speaker, sir, we do have the reports. We are also seeing them for the very first time, but we are obliged to serve our colleagues and later make arrangements to supply it to the House.
Very well.
Thank you.
Now, Clerk, can you make that report available to honorable senators? Proceed, Counsel.
Yes, Mr. Oyagi,
Yes, sir.
you have stated you're the head of compliance,
The head of enforcement.
enforcement and compliance.
Enforcement compliance.
Yes. In an acting capacity or permanently?
I'm in acting capacity.
An acting capacity. You serve under whose pleasure?
I serve the county government of Kisii, not anybody.
Which is led by who?
The county government of Kisii is led by His Excellency, the governor.
The governor. So you serve at the governor's pleasure?
I serve for the county government of Kisii.
I'll refer you to the two reports. there are 3 reports or 2 reports?
There should be 3.
Okay. In a chronological manner, we start with the one from the 1st of March.
The 1st of March, correct.
Okay. You can refer to that one. Mr. Speaker and members of the House, I know you don't have the benefit of having the copies, but the questions I ask do not really go into the specifics. Can I proceed?
Proceed.
Yes, the letter of the 1st of March 2024. You have it?
No, that's the copy I had, but you can proceed.
Yes, in that copy, do you indicate the officers who are mobilized and deployed to the governor's house?
At that time, it was an allegation.
No, do you indicate who these officers are? Their names are indicated?
I didn't indicate the names, but what I did, I gave instructions.
Simple question, did you indicate their names?
No.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Kalwale. Dr. Kalwale.
Council, you are not addressing to individual senators.
Mr. Speaker,
Kindly cross-examine the witness.
Most obliged. We go to the letter of the 4th of March.
Okay.
Does it indicate the 20 officers who are mobilized and deployed to the deputy governor's house?
It does not indicate, but it indicates that the officers are those who are attached to the Nyaribari Tache sub-county.
Does it indicate that letter?
It does not indicate the name of officers.
Okay. Does it indicate their current mobilization or location?
I believe it does.
You can refer to the same and show us where it does that.
The author of this letter says, indeed, on 20th December 2023, our enforcement officers, about 20, were mobilized and deployed to His Excellency Deputy Governor's home, led by the sub-county administrator. And this sub-county administrator is for Nyaribari Tache sub-county.
Yes, but does it say the 20 officers were actually from his unit? Does it say that?
The officer who is doing this letter...
No, it's a simple question. Does it say that, yes or no?
It's in charge of the sub-counties.
Does it say these officers are from his sub-county? That is the question. No, nothing more.
Honorable Speaker, the author of this letter is not a sub-county.
It's either witness. You know, they're very simple questions that attract either yes or a no. Yes. We proceed so that we don't waste time.
I'm well guided, sir.
We go to the last report. This is the one you've made. Yes, so from that letter, is that a yes or no? Does it indicate where they're deployed?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. We go to the report of the 8th of March. Does it indicate the officers?
It does not indicate the name of officers.
It does not indicate the name of the officers who were deployed on the 20th of December? It does not.
It doesn't.
It doesn't indicate the names of the officers who have been deployed at the deputy governor's house as you allege?
It doesn't.
Okay. So there's no way for this assembly to know that their officers either deployed on the 20th of December or currently deployed at the deputy governor's house?
The house is able to know because...
Is there a way to identify them from your reports?
I can supply the names.
No. As we stand here, is there a way to identify them?
No.
Okay. Yes, we move to the issue of the 4 officers who are deployed at the DG's house. Your testimony was that you learned of this before the proceedings, the impeachment proceedings.
Yes.
Okay. These officers were not sent or deployed there by yourselves?
I said they were not officially deployed because there's no any official document in our records.
So these officers are deployed to another place? Or they are assigned another duty in the county?
You see, what I meant is that the officers are taken to do a distinct
No, and in your department, are there officers who are not assigned to specific duties?
All officers are assigned specific duties,
Yes.
and with the letters.
Okay, so these 4 officers have been assigned duties elsewhere, and they are not doing those duties, but have moved to the deputy governors. That is your evidence?
Mr. Speaker, I would like to state that the officers are, the deployment must be documented.
But you're saying they're not deployed to the deputy
They're
governors?
deployed with no documentation.
What do you mean they're deployed without documentation?
Mr. Speaker, when deployment is done, there has to be an official deployment letter.
Okay. So these people who have been deployed with no letters, have you taken any disciplinary actions against them as their supervisor?
Of course, I have complained in writing to my supervisor.
Is that letter before this court, your complaint, before this tribunal?
No, Mr. Speaker.
No, it's not?
It's not.
Okay. So you said that about the allegations of deployment of 20 officers on the 20th of December. You only learned about it on the 29th of February.
Exactly.
Okay. So before that, were you aware of the motion again to impeach the deputy governor?
The motion I learned that after following the proceedings of the assembly.
On 29th. Before that, you did not know anything about that,
No.
that there's a motion going on
I
in
do not work at
Kisii?
the assembly.
You did not know?
I did not know.
Did you hear about any public participation with regards to the charges that were facing the deputy governor?
Mr. Speaker, I don't work at the assembly.
No, I'm saying, did you hear, as a person living and working in Kisii County, did you hear about it?
I heard there was a public participation, but I didn't bother to ask what was it about.
You didn't know what it was about,
Yeah.
even when it involved 20 of your officers,
Yeah,
allegedly.
My 20 of the officers, I learned it at the assembly.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hagai. I'll cede my remaining time to Senior Counsel Katokigan. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, Mr. Hagai.
Good morning.
Yes. Now, it is your testimony to this Senate that where you stand is that the officers, both who went the 20 and the ones who are deployed from your record, were not properly designated to do those respective things they did?
Yes.
Okay. And for purposes of making that contention to this Senate, you referred to a certain record, isn't it?
Yeah.
What was that record?
The report that I got from my deputy.
Okay. Now, when you say they were not deployed, is it a document or just a word of mouth from the ward admin, sub-ward admin?
You know, the procedure of deployment.
Just answer. Do you have a record of your deployments? Let me ask it like that.
The record is not there.
You don't have any record showing deployments?
Nothing like that.
Okay.
Because they were not properly deployed.
Okay. Do you have a record of all your enforcement officers?
Yes, I have.
And have you annexed it to any of your documents?
Right now, no.
No. Okay. So you do not have the record of the totality of your officers. Are those officers designated to do certain duties?
Enforcement officers are supposed to do enforcement duties.
No, just answer my question.
Yes.
Are the total population of the enforcement officers in your portfolio assigned to duties?
They are assigned to duties.
Is there a record showing that this one is supposed to be at the hospital, this one is supposed to be at the stadium, this is supposed to be at the county offices? Is there a record showing?
That is.
Okay. And it is true you haven't brought that to this county assembly, to this Senate, have you?
The summons.
Please answer my question. For purposes of saying in certain individuals, some 20 people went to the governor's brother's house, and for purposes of saying there are people working at the deputy governor's house that were not meant to be there, have you brought the deployment record showing where those people were supposed to have been deployed to?
No, Mr. Speaker.
You haven't. Now, you said one of the criteria you used to come and testify to this Senate is that there were no letters of deployment, isn't it?
They were not officially deployed.
Did you use the word letters of deployment?
Yes.
A few minutes ago.
About the 4
So
officers.
the 20 plus the 4, have you brought us the deployment letters so that this Senate can know very clearly that this person who went to the deputy governor's house or the one who is working at the deputy governor's house had a letter of deployment to a different place but is erroneously in a different place? Have you given us their letters of deployment?
No.
Okay. And you've also said, or rather, let me ask you, do you have an HR manual at the county assembly?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. You haven't given us that manual, have you?
No.
Okay. Who are the enforcement officers answerable to?
Enforcement officers are answerable to me as the director of enforcement.
To you, okay. And that's what the manual says. The HR manual says they're answerable to you.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, in the body of that manual, is there anywhere which designates the deputy governor as one of the people to whom they are answerable to?
No.
Okay. And lastly, you say you've come here to tell us what the sub-county ward administrator told you, isn't it?
It is my deputy in charge of sub-counties.
Yes, but that's not the question I've asked you. I've asked you, as you stand here, your testimony to this Senate is what the sub-county ward admin told you, isn't it?
No.
It is based on?
On my deputy who's in charge of sub-counties.
And how did he get that information again?
He did investigations.
And he communicated to the sub-county ward administrator? Is it?
Communicated to the sub-county admin, not to ward administrator.
Now, if we really wanted to know for a fact that indeed 20 people went to the deputy governor's house, that indeed there are people who are not deployed, the best person would have been that sub-ward county admin, isn't it? That is the person who has the raw information, is the one who is immediately in that vicinity, isn't it?
Yeah, but he failed to report.
Sorry?
He failed to report.
That's not what I've asked you. I'm saying that is the person who would have told this Senate directly that I know for a fact that there are 4 people working there who have not been designated to work there, and there are 20 people who went to deputy governor's house. That is the person who would say that, isn't it? From personal knowledge.
The enforcement officers.
Please understand my question. My question is, the person who has personal knowledge of whether or not there are 4 people working at the deputy governor's house, and whether or not 20 people went to effect arrest, is the sub-county ward admin, isn't it? That is the person right on the ground.
There is a sub-county commander who reports to me.
Okay. So who knows for a fact, who is the most immediate person to the vicinity of the house of the deputy governor and who would know which people went to his house? Who would be?
The sub-county enforcement commander.
Sub-county enforcement commander, isn't it? That is the person who would have told this Senate directly what happened, isn't it?
The sub-county commander reports to me.
Sorry? Reports to you. But as a question of a witness, that would have been the best witness for the Senate to know for a fact whether what you're saying is true or not, isn't it? You're telling us what you are told. It's not what you know.
Mr. Speaker, I'm in charge of the Directorate of Enforcement.
And what you're telling the Senate is what the sub-county enforcement commander told you, isn't it?
Yes.
And I know my colleague, Mr. Mutuma, asked you whether you came here under coercion, whether you are threatened, whether, and so on and so forth. Why was it necessary to be careful about that? Why was it necessary that they take precaution that you do not be seen as a weaponized witness? Why was it necessary to do that?
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
I am in charge of...
No, just asking. Why defensive when nobody has made an accusation against you? Why is there that defensive sense that you might have been a weaponized witness? Why?
I learned that my Director of Enforcement is implicated in this case.
Okay. Now, isn't it true that the sub-county enforcement commander knows for a fact that the 4 people working at the deputy governor's place are designated to do that job, and was not ready to come and lie, and that you are the only one who was available to give a distorted truth of the fact?
Mr. Speaker, I came here as the in charge of enforcement and compliance, Kisii County government.
Why didn't the person who knows come?
I take responsibility as the in charge.
I put it to you that it is because you are more malleable and because you've been acting for forever, and you are hoping that by giving this testimony, you will graduate into a confirmed position.
Honorable Senators, that's not true.
Now, as we speak today, Honorable Speaker, can I just have 3 minutes? I'll be done.
Very well, Council.
Thank you
Conclude
very
in the
much,
next
sir.
3 minutes.
As you speak today, do you know where all the population of your enforcement officers are?
Yes, I know.
Since when?
This morning.
Since this morning. So before that, when you are acting, when you are deputy, all that, you never knew where your people are, including the 20 that went to arrest and the 4 that were deputy governors. You didn't know.
You asked as I'm seated, I'm standing here.
Yes. And before that, did you know?
I know.
Did you know?
I know.
I'm not asking about today. We
know.
are talking about your testimony saying there are 4 people in deputy governor's place you didn't know.
I know about the 4. And I said here that I complained to my boss.
After the impeachment
Before
proceedings?
the impeachment motion.
Sorry?
Before the impeachment motion.
Have you given us any document?
No.
Showing that you had raised any issues before that?
No, but I can provide evidence.
Lastly, did you say that the deputy governor is not entitled to be designated any staff to assist him? Is that your position?
I talked about the enforcement officers. There are no provision.
I will ask you again. Is the deputy governor entitled to some staff at the expense of the county?
I know.
They are entitled to?
They're entitled, but not enforcement officers.
Okay. Now, as you testify today, do you have anything to tell this assembly that indeed the people who are designated to serve the deputy governor are this and this, and instead of those ones, these ones went? Do you have anything to show that there is a variance between the people intended vis-a-vis the people who are actually there?
I could not be having the evidence.
Answer my questions directly. Do you have any document to say Hagai was supposed to be there, but instead of Hagai, it is somebody else?
No.
You don't have it.
Any re-examination?
I'll be very brief, Honorable Speaker. David, you have been asked whether you have identified the personal staff of the deputy governor and your enforcement officers. The question is, do personal staff of the deputy governor under your direct control?
No.
And are you here speaking about his personal staff or your own staff?
I came to talk about enforcement officers.
Now, you have also been asked whether you have brought a document complaining about the 4 officers, about the report that you forwarded to your boss, correct?
Yeah.
Do you have your complaint letter about the 4 officers?
The complaint about the 4 officers, it was done immediately. I resumed office.
And it was done before the impeachment?
And it was done before the impeachment.
Now, you have also been asked whether it is you who ought to have come here or it was your deputy director at the sub-county level. The question is, who complained at the county assembly level?
I raised the complaint.
You raised a complaint. Are you the author of the statement at the county assembly level?
I am.
Is it pursuant to that statement that you were summoned?
That is true.
Now, you've also been asked about whether you have brought documents or records about the deployment of the 20 enforcement officers and whether the employment letters for your officers. Now, when did you receive the summons?
I received the summons yesterday.
And when you received the summons, to your understanding, what were you coming to speak to?
I was come and talk about the deployment of the enforcement officers.
And if you had enough time, would you supply those documents?
Yes.
You have also been asked whether the record, whether you have done the investigations correctly, correct?
Yeah.
And the question is, What did the preliminary investigations report reveal to you, to the extent that you're not able to mention the name of the 4 officers or the 20 enforcement officers this morning?
The preliminary report indicates that it is true. 20 enforcement officers were mobilized and deployed to execute an operation. And about the four,
are investigations complete?
The investigations are on.
They're ongoing. So are you able to reveal the names of the said enforcement officers at this juncture?
I am able to reveal the names of all enforcement officers that are attached to Nyaribari sub-county.
My question is, while investigations are ongoing, would you compromise the investigations by revealing the names of the officers at this point?
No.
Now, I believe you're a permanent and a pensionable employee of the county government, correct?
Yes.
So who is your employer?
Kisii County Government.
Were you recruited by the county government, the County Public Service Board?
Yes.
So who is do you serve under the mercy of the governor?
No, I serve for the county government of Kisii.
Now, you mentioned employed the 20 enforcement officers. You correctly put was who?
The sub-county administrator and the sub-county
commanded to deploy